Alright guys, welcome back to my DS3 walkthrough by a noob for my noobs. Because, let's face it, as much as I love these games, as much as I like to play them, I still suck. But that is besides the point. We're going to press on. And this video is going to focus mostly on a lot of talking. Because this video we're going to get to Firelink Shrine, which is... we go through that door right there, we go up the hill and through that building right there. But once we get to Firelink Shrine, I'm going to spend, frankly, much time explaining the stats and whatnot, so that when later on in the game you decide that if you want to vary your builds or restart into a different build, you just have one video to come back to for all that information is at once, rather than trying to piece it together from different videos I've done over time. The dishwasher is going on behind me. I hope that noise isn't being too loud in the echoing of the mic, but I don't honestly know. That being said, let's go ahead and open this door up. There's some items here and some small bosses, or not bosses, I'm sorry, small enemies that you'll come across. They're mostly a bunch of weak skeletons. For the most part, it's the same guys we've been fighting. They're still just as easy. As you can see, we're still doing our same tactic. Hold up the shield. Once they swing, we step around, get rid of them. Broken straight sword, hilt, whatever it said, can't remember now. Even though it's been a whole 30 seconds, because I'm a genius. It was a weapon. Homeward bones are what you use to teleport back to your last bonfire. So if you end up and you see like a boss or something like that and you have a bunch of souls and you're like, oh, I don't want to fight that thing, then you can homeward bone to Wax Bonfire, and at that point you can teleport back to Firelink Shrine and level up. Yeah, I'm going to try and explain the items that we come across real quick. Like I said, it's the same skeletons we've been fighting. They're just as easy as they were before. 1 or 2 hits tops for all of them. Oh, I almost missed the guy. For shame. Oh, he didn't go over. There we go. Then he went over. Alright. I don't know if I mentioned it before, but hold circle to run. So if you see me suddenly start sprinting and it drains my stamina, that's what I'm doing. Oh, dogs. I thought he was further around the corner. I didn't think he was right here. Dogs are pretty straightforward. If you hold the block while locked onto them by, again, pressing R3 to do that, then it will basically keep you facing them, and when they go do their bite, as long as you're holding up the shield will tend to, them biting the shield will tend to stun them for a second, and that's usually how you deal with most dogs. Embers are how you get to embered state, which we'll come back to in a moment, because that's going to be part of what we're talking about in Firelink Shrine in a moment here. The ember was the last thing to the right. We go to the left. We got a couple more skeletons up here. Oh, he dropped a weapon for us, which is very nice. He also dropped a fading soul, which is essentially free souls. Another ember. Very nice, very nice. Before we go too far this way, I am going to come back and I'm going to point something out to you real quick. That guy up there is the blind swordsman. He's not a nice guy. He's very difficult to beat in a fight, especially early on. There are tricks to getting him to like step off the edge, where like if you stand like right here to the side and can get him to do a thrusting attack like right about here, then, you know, he falls down and he dies. You get some free souls. I'll be honest, I didn't think that was going to work, because a lot of times it ends up killing me, but it happened to work out beautifully. So there you go. If you want to kill the swordsman, just block and stand really close to this corner and try not to fall off. If you die, you just respawn at the bonfire. You can come try it again. Just if you do end up needing multiple attempts to do it, remember to pick up your souls in between so that you don't forget them on the ground. But when we go back and rest at a bonfire or reset a bonfire, the sword that he drops will be there on the cliffside. So we'll go ahead. This is just another shield, which we'll come back to that in a second as well. We're going to go ahead and run back down the hill. Where am I going? I'm sorry. We're going to run back down the hill real quick. I don't want to go in Firelink Shrine just yet, even though it is closer. Run back down the hill real quick. We're going to rest at the bonfire again, which will reset the item. Since he's a NPC that died, and he's not a monster NPC, like he's an actual character, his items will be where he was supposed to spawn, but he won't be, since he fell off the cliff and died that way. It's a good way to, it's one of the things that From Software does, so that way if like an NPC for some reason like is on a walking path and then like accidentally walks off the cliff, you don't lose an, you know, mission specific item, which is a really nice thing that they do. We sat at the bonfire, so these guys got respawned. Just slicing our way through them. We're gonna take care of these guys on the stairs. So yeah, you have his outfit, which is literally just rags, which and you have Udachaga, which is a bleed weapon, which again we'll come back to that in a minute. Alright, so now for this path up the stairs where those skeletons were, the ember was right here. We're going straight across. We don't want to do that drop down, we want to come to the second one, and again we're not doing the drop down, we're just going around to the left still, and this is where we can get another homeward bone. And I will go back, and if we hadn't gone this way first, this would be the time to drop down and land on top of the dog, because he sits either right here or right at the other drop down, and you can land on him and get a plunging attack by hitting R1 as you fall. And this is Firelink Shrine. Alright guys, so quick cut here, because I realized that once I had finished my recording session, that the video was so long that it just made more sense to cut them into two videos. Firelink Shrine as its own video, and then the explanation for stats and weapons and that sort of thing as its own video. So that's why we're going to cut real quick here. I've already done some building up and stuff like that which will be explained in the stat video. But for now, we're just going to continue on with our tour of Firelink Shrine and some of the other things that you might want to do and gather around here. So with that being said, come down here. This lady right here is your firekeeper. She's standing either in this corner, sitting on the steps, or she's hanging out around down here. She's who you go to level up and whatnot. She's an awesome person. Love her. She's so nice. Then you have the handmaiden who likes to crack jokes at your expense, even though you don't really get them at first. And then you have Andre the blacksmith, who you use to level up your weapons and, you know, your gear. But you also use him for one other purpose, which is really important, is to allot Estus. Now, as you will know at this point, we have 3 Estus flasks and 1 Ashen Estus flask. The Ashen Estus flask restores mana, whereas the regular Estus flask restores health. If you're a spellcaster, you might want to carry like 2 of each, because you're going to be using your mana a lot more than your typical player. But for our purposes as a strength build, we're almost never going to use mana, so we're going to be just stacking the health refill ones. And that's one of the things that's kind of important to know, just in general, no matter how you decide to play, is how to allot your Estus, so you're not getting stuck with a unused Estus the entire time you're playing. So we'll confirm that, and that'll allow us to have 4 Estus flasks right out of the gate. So these 3 right here are your main people that you'll come back to and interact with regularly. Everybody else you run into in here is for side quests and side dialogues and whatnot like that. You can completely skip if you want to. But these are the only 3 that you don't want to attack, you don't want to kill or piss off or anything like that. Everybody else, you can kill them, you can still finish the game just fine. Just kill any one of these 3, you're going to struggle. I mean, it's literally your main shop, your main blacksmith, and your main level up person. So, for example, that guy over there, his name's Hawkwood. He's for an elaborate quest involving the Abyss Watchers and fighting him later on in the game, if you so choose to go that route. If not, it's not a huge difference. With that being said, since I no longer have any Ashen Estus flasks, we'll unequip that. We'll go ahead and throw some fire bombs on, because why not? And yeah, we'll just do a quick tour. So, when you're standing at the bonfire right here, you'll notice that there's an opening there, 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 and there. And all of these openings are just basically one big circle. If you go through either of the further back ones, you end up in this little pit. And when you run down, the two semi ones are for these staircases right here in the middle. And then right in the middle of this half circle is the stairs where Andre sits. I'll run to the other side real quick just so you can see. It's identical on both sides. When you gather people in the world, like questline people, and they say they go back to Firelink Shrine, they're usually sitting somewhere in that half circle. There's very few quest guys that actually sit up here among the thrones and whatnot. As far as the people among the thrones and whatnot, there's anything you can do with most of these thrones right now, but you'll notice that there's a guy sitting on that throne right there. He's for dealing with boss weapons and turning your boss souls that you get from killing bosses into boss weapons, but you can't do anything with that yet. That's not until like 3 bosses in, and when we get to that point, I'll cover him more at that point, but for now, there's not really point bugging with him. The path does lead up behind the chairs, but there's nothing along it or anything like that. However, if you come back up to where we first came in, then there's another path over here that goes up to the right. Whenever you teleport back to Firelink Shrine, it loads the shrine inside itself first, and then loads the exterior around it, so that's what that fog wall is. It's literally just a loading blocker. So that way Firelink Shrine itself loads faster. So don't sweat it, it goes away after a couple seconds. There you go, perfect example. Anyways, that being said, we're going to go up here to the upper balcony. Much later on, depending if you do the right quest step, patches will come and sit up here. But again, it's not terribly important for the moment. There is another half to it, but getting to it is not really necessary or anything like that. Nobody sits up there or anything like that. So if you come out here and go to the right, you'll see that this is the drop down where we were at before. Now behind us you have this tree. This is the giant tree. So basically, the giant tree, if you examine, a seed of the giant tree is yet to fall. Seed of the giant tree is an interesting item, and I'll explain the mechanics real quick here for a second. When you get invaded, you can use a seed of giant tree, and what it'll do is it'll cause all enemies in your world to also aggro to the invader for 45 seconds. After 45 seconds, they go back to ignoring invaders, because when you get invaded, invaders don't have to worry about your enemies in your world. They can just run right through them because they don't notice them. But a seed of giant tree changes that for 45 seconds. The only way to get a seed of the giant tree, and you can only carry 5 max, is after you've been invaded, you come back here and you examine the tree, and the seed will have fallen. But it only drops 1 at a time, so for every invasion, if you come back here and grab that seed, you might have one for the next time you get invaded. 90% of the time, you won't remember to come back, so don't even sweat it. Then we're going to come up here. This tower lets you climb up and go across into that tower and go over to the top of that tower. At the top of that tower is a Firekeeper soul, which is an item that literally does nothing unless you're trying to get different endings. You'll actually get other Firekeeper souls in different ways throughout the game. So it's not even important in that regard. That's not unique. So the handmaiden, the shop lady, sells a key for this for 20,000 souls. It's not worth it. It's really not. And if you do climb all the way up there and go over and drop down, that's how you get to that ladder, and that's how you get up onto that part of the roof over there. However, we're going to go ahead and grab that corpse real quick. There is a trick where if you know the angling, it's usually easier for me to come from this way. But basically, you run down towards the tree, and because it's pressed down on the left stick to jump, you need to run from like either the stones. There's a way to do it if you just run straight across right here, but I'm not particularly good at doing it this way. I'm better at doing it this way, which is actually the harder way to do it, but I don't know the angling for doing it the other way. But essentially what you do is you start up here, you sprint down towards the tree, and as soon as you get to the peak of the tree, you have to basically turn your character and mash the jump button all at once, and your character will be able to jump onto the roof. And when you land on that roof, it gives you access to some special items that are up there. I'm going to go ahead and put in a cut now until I get it. Oh, that was super easy. Holy cow. Let me try that again. So, I stand right here on the steps, and then just run diagonally across. Oh, it's repeatable. Okay, let's try that one more time. So I'm putting my back like right about here in this corner. Angle myself for the tree. We're sprinting. I would have had that if I aimed my jump better. So again, corner, tree. Oh yeah, it gets me more than high enough. It's just a matter of actually aiming the jump. Alright, so we want to put our feet in this corner. I finally saw the angle. You're going to aim yourself for the tree, sprint straight forward, and as soon as you get up to the top of the tree, mash that left stick, and when you do your turning, just ever so slightly to the right. It makes it super easy. Now that we're up here, we get 3 homeward bones. We run around to in here. You got to be extra careful because you are walking on a bit of a tightrope's edge here. You can go up to the middle, but I want to go this way first just so I can grab the item first. It's an Estus shard, which is going to give us 1 more Estus before we go to our next area. That's going to help us out even more, which is going to be a great advantage to us. Now this nest right here is for Pickle Pea, Pickle Rum. What you can do for Pickle Pea, Pickle Rum is you trade items by dropping them. So, we go into our inventory, and we leave 1 bomb. He makes a comment. And then, when you pick up item, in this case it's a large titanite shard. You can find the list online for what the exact trading list is, but I just used the firebomb real quick as an example. If you're done with trading with him and you've grabbed the Estus shard, which, like I said, that's going to be super helpful, look for where the door is, and then look for this part that's closest to the door. Then follow it and go straight across. And you're going to that wall. At this wall, strike once. And this puts us way up above behind the top middle chair. Drop down over here. There's nothing to our left, but there's a chest to our right. And this chest has the covetous silver serpent ring. Ugh, sorry, it's a bit of a tongue twister. And the reason we want that ring in particular, because that ring is going to get us more souls. I didn't think that was an invisible wall, but alright. And as you saw, we dropped down again. So we got an Estus shard and we got a ring. So for the Estus shards, whenever you find these, actually let me show you real quick. So we already allotted our Estus, right? So our maximum Estus isn't actually 3 at the moment, it's 4. Because we allotted it, we got rid of our Ashen Estus flask. Now we picked up an Estus shard. We're going to go back to Andre and talk to him real quick.
Just what needs.
We're going to reinforce Estus flask.
Pretty big like that.
And then now, when we rest at a bonfire, we have 5. Alright, so in the bottom right hand corner, that's our soul counter, right? 84 souls. I'm going to cut real quick until this fucking fog goes away. Okay, so two guys, 20 souls from each of them, right? Now, if we go into our equipment, Great Swamp Ring was just because we started as a Pyromancer. Fallen Fools yield more souls. I'm going to put in our last ring slot just because that's personal style preference for me because it helps me organize better. And now, instead of getting 20 souls for each of them, we get 22. And I know it's like, well, Jack, that's only 2 more souls, but in the long run, it makes a difference. The other thing about it, too, it's percentage based. So, like, those guys only give 2 more souls, right? But your bosses that are going to give you a couple, 100,000 souls are now going to give you, like, 120,000 souls. So it makes a big difference on bigger enemies, but those guys are small and weak, so it was just sort of an example. But yeah, that's Firelink Shrine, guys. The next video after this will be explaining stats, and that's going to be literally just all that video is. So if you don't want to know how the stats work or anything like that, you can skip it, or if you think I do a shitty job explaining stuff anyways, you can skip it too. But after that, the video will pick up with us at High Wall of Lothric. I don't know if you caught it, but when you go to the bonfire, you hit travel, and it gives you your options. You have Cemetery of Ash, which is what our first bonfire was, and Gundyr from the bonfire we got when we killed him. And then our first place to teleport to where we start the game is the high wall of Lothric. So that's where the next video will pick up, is just after we teleported there for the first time. But I'm going to re-record the stat video because there were some things I messed up when I explained it the first time. So, that being said, have a good one.